The stars vanished first. It wasn't dramatic. No explosions, no warning signals, no Hollywood-style invasion fleet appearing with fanfare. Just a gradual dimming of the night sky over every major city on Earth, as if someone had drawn a dark curtain across the heavens. The Kraxan Empire had arrived, and they chose silence as their herald. Admiral Sarah Chen stood at the window of the United Earth Defense Command Center, her dark eyes fixed on the patch of sky where the Big Dipper should have been. 20 years of military service hadn't prepared her for this moment. No one on Earth could have been prepared. "Admiral." Lieutenant Marcus Rodriguez called from his station, his voice steady despite the tension. "We're detecting energy signatures unlike anything we've ever seen. They're massive." Before Chen could respond, every screen in the command center flickered to life simultaneously. The image that appeared was both beautiful and terrifying. A being that looked almost crystalline, with faceted features that caught and reflected light in impossible ways. Its voice resonated through the facility with an otherworldly harmony. "People of Earth, hear us. We are the Kraxan Empire, masters of 10,000 worlds. Your planet has been chosen to join our magnificent dominion. Submit, and you shall be elevated. Resist, and you shall be erased. You have one planetary rotation to declare your surrender." The message repeated in every language on Earth, broadcasting through every device capable of receiving a signal. Panic erupted in cities worldwide, but in the UEDC, Admiral Chen's expression hardened into determination. "Get me the Security Council," she ordered, "and contact Dr. Maya Patil at the Quantum Defense Initiative. Tell her it's time." 12 hours later, in a secure bunker beneath the Himalayas, humanity's leaders gathered to decide Earth's fate. The Kraxans' ultimatum hung heavy in the air as representatives from every nation debated their options. The alien ships had remained motionless, their massive forms blocking out sections of the sky like artificial eclipses. Dr. Patel, a brilliant physicist with a reputation for impossible breakthroughs, stood before the assembled leaders. Her presentation was brief but revolutionary. "The Kraxan ships utilize a form of quantum-locked propulsion," she explained, her hands moving animatedly. "It's advanced, yes, but it's also predictable. They've sacrificed adaptability for raw power. We can use that against them." Admiral Chen stepped forward. "Dr. Patel's team has developed a prototype defense system. It's experimental, but it could give us a fighting chance. The question is, do we submit or do we fight?" The Chinese premier spoke first, his voice firm. "For 5,000 years, my people have endured. We did not bow to conquerors then. We will not bow now." One by one, each leader voiced their decision. The vote was unanimous. Earth would not submit. As the council concluded, Dr. Patel pulled Admiral Chen aside. "Sarah, there's something else. The quantum signatures we're detecting. They're familiar. Too familiar. I think the Kraxans' technology might be based on human theoretical work that was never successfully implemented. They may be advanced, but they're using a corrupted version of our own science against us." Chen's eyes widened at the implication. "You're saying we might understand their weaknesses better than they do." "Exactly. Their entire empire might be built on a fundamental misunderstanding of quantum mechanics. They have power, but we have something they don't: true understanding." The Admiral's lips curved into a slight smile. "Then let's put that understanding to good use." As the deadline approached, humanity prepared its response. Military forces worldwide mobilized with unprecedented cooperation. Dr. Patel's team worked frantically to upgrade Earth's defensive capabilities. And in orbit, the first wave of humanity's hastily modified satellites moved into position, ready to implement a plan that would either save Earth or doom it. When the Kraxans' deadline arrived, Admiral Chen delivered humanity's answer. She stood before a simple camera, her uniform pristine, her voice unwavering. "To the Kraxan Empire, we have received your demand. We have considered your ultimatum, and we have made our decision." She paused, her eyes fierce with determination. "Humanity does not kneel. We do not submit. We have fought too long and too hard for our freedom to surrender it to anyone, no matter how powerful they may appear." She leaned forward slightly, her voice dropping to a dangerous whisper. "You think you know what humanity is capable of. You're about to find out. This is our home, and we will defend it." The transmission ended, and for a moment, the world held its breath. In the command center, Chen turned to Dr. Patel. "Are you ready?" The physicist nodded, her fingers hovering over a complex array of controls. "The quantum disruptors are in position. On your command, Admiral." Chen took a deep breath, knowing that what happened next would determine the fate of humanity. "Let's show them what happens when you threaten Earth. Execute Operation Starkiller." The war for Earth's freedom was about to begin, and humanity was ready to prove that sometimes the most dangerous species in the galaxy are the ones you underestimate. Operation Starkiller worked better than anyone had dared to hope. As Dr. Maya Patel's quantum disruptors activated, the massive Kraxan ships surrounding Earth shuddered visibly. Their perfect crystalline formations flickered like faulty light bulbs, their supposedly impenetrable shields displaying patterns of interference that shouldn't have been possible according to their own understanding of the technology. But the Kraxan Empire hadn't counted on humanity's greatest weapon, desperation-fueled innovation. In the UEDC command center, Admiral Chen watched the tactical display with intense focus. Status report on the disruption field. Holding at 87% effectiveness, Lieutenant Rodriguez reported. The Kraxan ships are experiencing cascading failures in their quantum lock systems. They're struggling to maintain formation. Dr. Patel's voice crackled over the comm system from her laboratory deep beneath the Himalayas. The disruption is working exactly as theorized. Their misunderstanding of quantum mechanics is their weakness. They built their entire empire on flawed principles, impressive but fundamentally unstable. But the Kraxan weren't about to accept defeat so easily. Their response came in the form of a massive energy surge that lit up the sky like a second sun. Smaller ships began emerging from the larger vessels, craft that didn't rely on the quantum technology that humanity had so elegantly disrupted. "They're adapting," Chen observed grimly. "Just as we expected. Begin Phase 2. Phase 2 of Operation Shadow Strike had been developed in secret over the past week. While the world's attention was focused on Dr. Patel's quantum disruptors, another team led by Commander Kai Zhang had been preparing humanity's counterpunch. Zhang's voice came through clear and confident from his position aboard the newly commissioned UES Nightshade, Earth's first stealth space destroyer. "Shadow Fleet reporting ready, Admiral. All ships equipped with the modified pulse weapons." The Shadow Fleet was humanity's answer to the Kraxan's overwhelming numbers, a small but lethal force of ships designed to strike fast and vanish faster. They were built around a revolutionary technology that bent light and other forms of radiation around their hulls, making them nearly invisible to conventional sensors. "You have authorization to proceed, Commander," Chen ordered. "Show them why they should have studied our science more carefully." The battle that followed would later be known as the Ghost Dance, a deadly ballet of invisible ships striking at the confused and disoriented Kraxan fleet. The UES Nightshade and its sister ships materialized from nowhere, fired their pulse weapons with devastating accuracy, and disappeared before the enemy could respond. Each pulse weapon was designed to exploit another fundamental flaw in Kraxan technology, their reliance on crystalline computing cores. The pulses didn't need to destroy the enemy ships. They just needed to disrupt the delicate lattice structures that allowed their computers to function. From her station monitoring the battle, Dr. Patel couldn't help but appreciate the irony. They thought they were so advanced, but they never truly understood the principles they were working with. Every punch we throw exploits another gap in their knowledge. The Kraxan's response was predictably brutal, but increasingly desperate. Their smaller ships fired massive energy weapons indiscriminately, trying to hit targets they couldn't see. Space around Earth lit up with deadly beams of energy, but the Shadow Fleet danced between them, striking and vanishing like digital ghosts. "They're falling back," Rodriguez announced excitedly. The main fleet is retreating to the outer solar system. But Admiral Chen's expression remained grave. They're not retreating. They're regrouping. This was too easy. As if to confirm her suspicions, a new transmission cut through all frequencies. The crystalline face of the Kraxan commander appeared, but this time there was no pretense of diplomatic courtesy. "You primitive savages," the alien voice seethed. "You dare to challenge the might of the Kraxan Empire with your crude understanding of sciences we mastered millennia ago. You have merely delayed the inevitable. Our main battle fleet approaches, 10,000 ships strong. Your clever tricks will not save you from what comes next." The transmission ended, leaving a heavy silence in the command center. Commander Zhang's voice broke it first. "Orders, Admiral." Chen shared a look with Dr. Patel, who had rushed to the command center as soon as the battle ended. "How long until we can adapt the quantum disruptors to handle a fleet that size?" "A week, maybe 2, Patel replied. "But they'll be expecting it now. They'll find ways to shield against it. Then we'll need something they're not expecting." Chen turned to address her staff. "Contact every scientific institution on Earth. I want our best minds working on this. The Kraxan think they know everything about us, about our capabilities. Let's show them how wrong they are." As the command center burst into activity, Chen stepped closer to the main viewport, looking up at the stars that were once again visible in Earth's sky. The first battle had been won, but the real war was just beginning. Humanity had bloodied the Empire's nose, but now they had to prepare for the Empire's full fury. "They still don't understand," she murmured to herself. "Every time they underestimate us, they give us another chance to prove them wrong." In the Himalayas, Dr. Patel's team was already working on new weapons, new defenses, new ways to exploit the fundamental flaws in Kraxan technology. The Shadow Fleet began training for even more complex maneuvers, preparing to face an enemy that would be far more cautious this time. Humanity had won its first major battle against the Kraxan Empire, but they had also learned a crucial lesson. In the face of overwhelming odds, innovation and understanding were their greatest weapons. The next phase of the war would test them like never before, but Earth was ready. They had tasted victory, and they weren't about to let it slip away. 2 weeks after humanity's first victory, the Kraxan main fleet arrived at the edge of the solar system. Their numbers were staggering, a sea of crystalline warships that stretched across space like an artificial constellation. But Earth was ready. In those 2 weeks, humanity had accomplished what the Kraxan would have considered impossible. Dr. Maya Patel's team had made breakthrough after breakthrough, each discovery revealing new weaknesses in the Empire's supposedly superior technology. But their greatest discovery came from an unexpected source. "Look at this," Dr. Patel said, pointing to a complex diagram floating in a holographic display. She stood in a newly constructed war room deep beneath Geneva, addressing Admiral Chen and representatives from Earth's Unified Military Command. "We've been analyzing the quantum signatures from their ships, and we found something fascinating. They're all connected." Connected. Chen leaned forward, studying the swirling patterns of energy. "You mean they network their ships?" "More than that. Their entire empire is built on a quantum network that spans galaxies. It's how they maintain control over such vast distances, but it's also their greatest vulnerability." Commander Zhang, fresh from leading another successful Shadow Fleet operation against Kraxan scouts, spoke up. "So if we can disrupt the network, we can potentially disable their entire fleet at once," Patel finished. "But more importantly, we might be able to access their central command structure. Every order, every tactical decision, every piece of strategic information, it all flows through this network." Admiral Chen's eyes narrowed. "They'd never expect us to be able to access their network. They think we're primitives who barely understand their technology." "Exactly." Patel's eyes gleamed with excitement. "And that's why Operation Ghostwalker will work." Operation Ghostwalker was audacious to the point of insanity. Using Earth's quantum computers, Reconfigured to match the Kraxen's network protocols, they would attempt to infiltrate the Empire's command and control systems. It wasn't just about disrupting communications. They planned to take control of the network itself. The operation began 3 days later. The Kraxen fleet had moved into position, forming a massive sphere around Earth's solar system. Their intention was clear: no escape, no mercy, total subjugation or extinction. In the Geneva Command Center, Dr. Patel initiated the quantum interface sequence, beginning network infiltration. Remember, we'll only have one shot at this. Once they detect our presence, they'll adapt their protocols. The first phase of the operation went smoothly, almost too smoothly. Earth's quantum systems slipped into the Kraxen network like ghosts in the machine. Through the holographic displays, they could see the Empire's communication structure laid bare before them. "It's beautiful," Patel whispered, watching the flow of data. Their entire civilization, connected by quantum entanglement. But they never considered what would happen if someone understood the principles better than they did. Then everything went wrong. "We've been detected," Lieutenant Rodriguez called out. "They're implementing countermeasures." The Kraxen's response was immediate and devastating. Their fleet surged forward, weapons charging. But they weren't firing at Earth. They were targeting their own network nodes, attempting to sever the quantum connections before humanity could exploit them. They're going to cut themselves off from their own command structure, Chen realized. They'd rather lose control than let us take it. But Dr. Patel was smiling. That's exactly what we wanted them to do. The plan had never been to take control of their network. That was impossible. The Kraxen's security was too strong, their protocols too alien. Instead, they had forced the Empire to do exactly what Earth's defenders had predicted: panic and destroy their own command and control infrastructure. As the Kraxen fleet frantically severed their quantum connections, chaos erupted among their ships. Without the network that had guided their every decision for millennia, they were lost. Individual commanders had to make decisions on their own, something they hadn't done in generations. "Now," Chen ordered, "launch the counterattack." Earth's shadow fleet, now expanded to hundreds of ships, struck from all directions. But they weren't alone. From behind Mars, Jupiter, and Saturn emerged humanity's secret weapon: massive solar collectors that had been constructed and hidden during the past 2 weeks. They activated simultaneously, focusing the sun's energy into devastating beams that cut through the disorganized Kraxen fleet. The battle that followed was unlike anything in human history. The Kraxen ships, superior in technology but cut off from their command structure, fought individually against an enemy they couldn't see. Earth's forces, coordinated by conventional communications that the Kraxen had dismissed as primitive, struck with precision and purpose. "They're breaking formation," Rodriguez reported. Multiple ships attempting to retreat. But retreat wasn't an option. The solar collectors had been positioned specifically to cut off their escape routes, herding the Kraxen fleet into killing zones where the Shadow Fleet waited. In the command center, Admiral Chen watched as humanity's greatest gamble paid off. They had turned the Empire's greatest strength, their reliance on advanced technology, into a crippling weakness. The Kraxen had never imagined that a primitive species would be capable of such strategic thinking. "Send the message," Chen ordered, "to all Kraxen ships. Surrender or be destroyed." The response came not from the Kraxen command, but from individual ship captains. One by one, crystalline warships powered down their weapons. The mighty empire that had threatened to erase humanity had been brought low not by superior firepower, but by humanity's ability to understand and exploit their weaknesses. As the surrender signals continued to come in, Dr. Patel turned to Admiral Chen. "This isn't over, you know. There will be more fleets, more battles." Chen nodded grimly. "Yes, but now they know what we're capable of. And next time, we'll be even more prepared." The counterattack had succeeded beyond their wildest expectations, but it was just the beginning. Humanity had proven they could stand against the Empire. Now they had to prove they could win a war. The celebration of humanity's victory was short-lived. 3 days after the surrender of the Kraxan fleet, long-range sensors detected something massive approaching from deep space. It wasn't just another fleet. It was something else entirely. "What are we looking at?" Admiral Chen demanded, staring at the readings that scrolled across the main screen of the Geneva Command Center. The numbers didn't make sense. The energy signatures were off the charts. Dr. Patel's face had gone pale as she analyzed the data. "It's a quantum fold in spacetime. They're bringing something through from another dimension. Something big." The Kraxan Empire's response to their defeat was more terrible than anyone had anticipated. They had activated their doomsday weapon, the World Breaker. It emerged from the quantum fold like a nightmare made real. A massive crystalline structure larger than Earth's moon, its surface crackling with energy that defied the laws of physics as humanity understood them. "They're transmitting," Lieutenant Rodriguez reported, his voice tense. The image that appeared on the command screen showed not the usual crystalline face of a Kraxan commander, but something different. A being that seemed to be composed of pure energy, its form barely contained within a crystalline shell. This was the Archon, the true ruler of the Kraxan Empire. "Humans." The being's voice resonated through the command center, making the very air vibrate. "You have proven yourselves worthy adversaries. But your resistance ends now. The World Breaker will not simply destroy your planet. It will erase your entire solar system from existence. Submit or watch everything you love vanish into the void." Admiral Chen's response was immediate. "Ready all defenses. Contact the surrendered Kraxan ships. We need to know everything they can tell us about this weapon." But the situation was dire. The World Breaker's quantum signature was unlike anything they had encountered before. Their previous tactics would be useless against it. The weapon began to power it up, its crystalline surface pulsing with increasing energy. "We need options," Chen demanded, looking around the war room. Dr. Patel. The physicist was already deep in calculation, her fingers flying over multiple holographic displays. "The energy readings, they're similar to what we saw in their network, but magnified 1,000 times. They're trying to create a quantum singularity, one that would swallow our entire solar system." Commander Zhang, who had been quietly studying tactical displays, spoke up. "What if we could turn it back on them? Use their own weapon against their empire?" "Impossible," one of the Kraxan defectors, a ship captain named Vextel, interjected. His crystalline form shimmered with anxiety. "The World Breaker is controlled directly by the Archon. Its quantum signature is unique." But Dr. Patel's eyes had lit up. "No, Commander Zhang is onto something. The World Breaker isn't just a weapon. It's a quantum amplifier. If we could hijack its frequency, we could reverse the singularity," Chen finished. "But how do we get close enough?" The answer came from an unexpected source. Captain Vextel stepped forward, his crystalline form pulsing with determination. "My ship, my crew. We know the World Breaker's security protocols. We can get your people aboard." It was a desperate plan, but they were running out of options. The World Breaker was now less than 12 hours from achieving full power. Earth's shadow fleet and solar collectors would be useless against a weapon that could bend reality itself. A joint team was assembled, human scientists and soldiers working alongside Kraxan defectors. Dr. Patel would lead the scientific team, while Commander Zhang would handle tactical operations. They would have one chance to board the World Breaker and reverse its quantum signature before it destroyed everything. The mission launched under cover of a massive battle. Earth's remaining forces engaged the World Breaker's escort fleet, drawing attention away from Vextel's ship as it approached the massive weapon. Using Kraxan codes and protocols, they managed to dock undetected. Inside the World Breaker, they found something unexpected. The weapon wasn't just a machine. It was alive in its own way. Quantum energy flowed through its crystalline corridors like blood through veins. "This is wrong," Vextel whispered as they made their way toward the core. "The Archon has perverted our most sacred technologies. This weapon, It's an abomination. Dr. Patel's readings confirmed his horror. The world breaker was powered by trapped consciousness, the minds of countless beings, their quantum signatures forced into harmony to power the weapon. The Archon's ultimate weapon was built on unimaginable suffering. As they fought their way to the core, facing automated defenses and loyal Kraxan troops, humanity's team discovered the true nature of their enemy. The Kraxan Empire wasn't just cruel, it was parasitic, feeding off the quantum signatures of entire civilizations to power its expansion. In the weapon's central chamber, Dr. Patel and her team worked frantically to reverse the quantum flows, while Commander Jung's forces held off waves of defenders. The Archon's voice boomed through the structure, promising destruction and torment. But they had something the Archon didn't expect: understanding born of desperation, courage born of necessity, and most importantly, the help of those who had seen the Empire's true face and chosen to stand against it. As the world breaker reached critical power levels, Dr. Patel made the final adjustments. The weapon's quantum signature began to shift, its enormous power turning back upon itself. The Archon's scream of rage echoed through every quantum frequency as its greatest weapon became its undoing. "Clear the ship," Commander Jung ordered. "Everyone back to the transport. Move." As they fled the massive structure, the world breaker began to implode, its quantum energies collapsing inward. The weapon that was meant to destroy humanity's solar system was about to take a significant portion of the Kraxan Empire with it instead. But the war wasn't over. The Archon had escaped, and the Empire still stood. Yet something fundamental had changed. The defection of Vextal and his crew had shown that not all Kraxans supported their leader's cruel vision. Perhaps there was hope for more than just survival. There was hope for real change. The destruction of the world breaker created a shockwave that rippled through both space and the quantum realm. As the weapon collapsed in on itself, it took with it dozens of Kraxan command worlds, planets that had served as focal points for the Empire's quantum network. The Archon had escaped, but its power base was crumbling. In the Geneva Command Center, Admiral Chen watched the quantum readings cascade across her screens. Status report on the Empire's remaining forces. "The quantum collapse has affected their entire command structure," Dr. Patel reported, her eyes fixed on the data streams. "Without their network, their fleets are in disarray. But the Archon is rallying what forces it can for one final assault." The intelligence came from their unlikely allies. More Kraxan ships were defecting by the hour. Captain Vextal's brave stand had inspired others, and the truth about the Empire's quantum harvesting atrocities had spread rapidly through the ranks. "The Archon will not stop," Vextal warned, his crystalline form pulsing with urgency. "It has existed for millennia, consuming civilizations to fuel its power. Earth is not just a threat. You have become a symbol of resistance." Commander Jung, who had led the successful mission to the world breaker, stepped forward. "Then we make our stand here, not just for Earth, but for every civilization the Empire has destroyed." The final battle would be different from anything that had come before. The Archon was gathering not just ships, but raw quantum energy, the accumulated power of countless consumed worlds. It meant to end humanity not with technology, but with pure reality-warping force. Dr. Patel had been preparing for this. The Archon's power comes from stolen quantum signatures, the essence of civilizations it's destroyed. But that power is unstable. Each signature wants to return to its natural state. "Can we use that?" Chen asked, already seeing the possibilities. "Better," Patel smiled. "We can set them free." The plan they devised was audacious. Earth's forces would engage the Archon's fleet in conventional combat, while a special team led by Dr. Patel and Captain Vextal would attempt something never before imagined: the liberation of the quantum signatures that powered the Empire. The Archon's final assault began 3 days later. Its remaining fleet emerged from quantum space like an avalanche of crystalline fury. But at its center was something else, a swirling vortex of energy that bent light itself, The Archon's true form unleash. All forces, engage as planned. Admiral Chen ordered. Shadow Fleet, commence Operation Lightbringer. Earth's ships, now joined by Kraxan defectors, met the Empire's fleet head-on. But this battle was different. Humanity wasn't fighting to destroy. They were fighting to save. Dr. Patel's team, aboard a specially modified ship, pushed through the chaos of battle toward the quantum vortex that was the Archon. They carried with them a device that was both simple and revolutionary, a quantum resonator tuned to the natural frequency of life itself. You cannot stop what I am. The Archon's voice boomed across all frequencies as they approached. I am power itself. I am eternal. No, Dr. Patel replied calmly as she activated the resonator. You're just a thief, and it's time to return what you've stolen. The device sent out a pulse that rippled through quantum space. For a moment, nothing seemed to happen. Then the Archon's vortex began to fluctuate. The stolen quantum signatures, responding to their natural resonance, began to break free. The release of energy was spectacular. Thousands of quantum signatures, each representing a civilization the Empire had consumed, burst from the Archon's form. They spiraled through space like aurora borealis, their light carrying the essence of countless worlds. The signatures, Vextal whispered in awe. They're returning to their original frequencies. They're going home. The Archon's scream of rage turned to one of desperation as its power base literally fled from its grasp. Without the stolen quantum energy to sustain it, its form began to collapse. In its final moments, the Archon tried to drag everything into oblivion with it. But the combined forces of humanity and the Kraxan defectors held firm. They had learned from every battle, adapted to every challenge, and now they stood together against the dying rage of a false god. The end came not with a massive explosion, but with a quiet dissolution. The Archon, stripped of its stolen power, simply faded away, its own quantum signature too weak to maintain coherence without its stolen energy. In the aftermath, as Earth's ships and their allies regrouped, Admiral Chen stood in the command center, watching the last echoes of quantum energy dissipate across space. What happens now? Captain Vextal, who had become humanity's strongest advocate among his people, answered. We rebuild, not as an empire, but as equals. Your people have shown us a better way. Understanding rather than domination, cooperation rather than consumption. Dr. Patel was already looking at new data streams. The quantum signatures that were released, they've left behind a network of their own. Natural quantum pathways between worlds. We could use them for communication, maybe even travel. A true connection between civilizations, Chen mused. Not one built on domination, but on mutual understanding. The war was over, but humanity's journey was just beginning. They had faced extinction and emerged not just victorious, but transformed. Earth was no longer alone in the cosmos. They had allies among the stars and a new understanding of their place in the universe. As the quantum auroras faded from Earth's skies, Admiral Chen made a final entry in her log. Today marks not just the end of a war, but the beginning of something greater. Humanity fought not just for survival, but for the right of all beings to exist free from domination. We won because we understood something the Empire never could. True power comes not from consuming others, but from standing together. The stars are no longer a barrier or a battlefield. They're a bridge, and we're ready to cross it. The story of humanity's defiance would be told across the galaxy for generations to come, not just as a tale of victory against impossible odds, but as a reminder that the greatest power lies not in domination, but in understanding, cooperation, and the indomitable spirit of those who refuse to kneel.